This is a longer review, but don't worry, I got you. If you're only interested in a certain topic, such as the pros and cons of the pen or how to pair your InPen with your InPen app, the time codes are down below in the description. Just click on the one for whatever topic that you're interested in. Hey there, I am Christelle and I am the founder of Diabetes Strong. So today I want to talk about my InPen. So I've had this pen for 2 years and I don't know why I've never done an InPen review before, but here we go. I have been using this, it's a Smartpen. I'll explain what that means. But I've been using this, as I said, for 2 years to manage my diabetes and I absolutely love it. So let's talk a little bit more about it. So today I'm gonna not only do the InPen review, but I'm also gonna show you how to pair your InPen when you get one with your phone. What's really brilliant about this pen? So this is a durable pen, meaning there's no insulin in here yet. But you load the insulin in here. So what's really brilliant about this is that it pairs with an app on your phone. And that app is pretty much the brains. Here is your insulin, but your insulin pen talks with the app. And what it does is every time you inject, every time you take an insulin dose, it remembers, it automatically records that dose in the app and it remembers that for you. That means it's keeping track of your IOB, your insulin on board, right? Because insulin is active for 3 to 5 hours. So I have mine set to 4 hours for this pen. So that means it remembers my doses and how much is left of that insulin that I took up to 4 hours ago. It's absolutely brilliant. What the app also does is it has a bolus calculator. What that means is that you can use the app to help calculate how much insulin do you need for meals, how much insulin do you need for corrections. You don't have to do the math yourself. Love that. It does need to know what your carb ratios are, what your correction factors are, etc. So you should get all of that from your doctor if you don't already have it. But all of that just needs to be put into the app. And once that's in, you're ready to go and you have a Smartpen. So let me just show you. So again, this is my pretty pink pen. I want to show you compared to, so I've had Smartpens before. No, not Smartpens. I've had durable pens before. Sorry, this is my first Smartpen. I've had durable pens before. A durable pen simply means that, again, there's no insulin in here. I load the insulin in here. I'll show you how to do that in a second. But you recycle the actual pen. That makes it a durable pen. And you just change the cartridge with insulin. Let me show you. This is a pen I had before. This is the what's it called? I forget the name. The HumaPen Luxura HD. So you can see it's I think you can see here, it's the same size. See that? It's pretty much the same size. The big difference is that this one is heavy. It's like way heavier than my pretty pink pen here. But it's the same concept. You change. Biggest difference is, aside from this being heavier, is that this is a smart pen. Again, it communicates with the app. Let me show you my other pen. So this is only for your rapid acting insulin. It's your Humalog, your Novolog, and it also goes with Fiasp. I have to look down. I can't remember. So Humalog, Novolog, and Fiasp. And when you order your pen, you have to specify, well, which kind of insulin does it go with? I use Humalog, so I ordered a Humalog pen. And it's something about how the plastic is constructed. That means that is for your rapid acting insulin. So that is the insulin they use for corrections and for meals, okay? You also, if you do MDI like I do, multiple daily injections, you also need to take a long-acting insulin. This one is not good for long-acting. So my long-acting insulin is see if I can show you this, a Tresiba pen. So this is a pre-filled pen, right? So a lot of you probably know the insulin's already in here. You can see the insulin's here. For these pens, we just use them until there's no more left, and then we throw them in the trash. Not the durable pen. Again, you keep the durable pen, and then you just change the cartridge. Let me take it apart. So as you just saw, I took off, this is like the mechanics of the pen, right? So this is the actual pen. You just take off the lid, and you screw off the top, and then you put your insulin in there, okay? And let me see if I have my insulin anywhere. I do. Again, I use Humalog, so if you choose this product, you would need to buy Humalog cartridges or Fies or Novolog cartridges. And they come, well, there's usually 5 in a blister pack like this, but I already use the 3. So the insulin looks like this. Exactly the same insulin as you have in a pre-filled pen, but you just simply plop it in to the clear plastic part, and then you screw the 2 parts together, and you apply a needle on top, and your pen is loaded, okay? So you turn the dial down here, and the cool thing is it does half-unit increments. So that means if you only need half a unit of insulin, you get half a unit. Again, you screw your needle on, you dial up, then you're ready to go. So that's how the pen works. Okay, you just click it in, put the lid back on. That is a pen. Let's go into a little bit more details before I show you how to pair it with your InPen app. So there's a few things that you should know and think about if you're considering to getting the InPen. First of all, it's only FDA approved for use in the US. So that means as of today, I guess, which is February 2021, it's only available in the US. I know the InPen folks are trying to get it out to a broader global audience. So let's fingers crossed, because it is a really cool product. Since we're talking about the US, that means that if you consider getting one, you have 2 options. You can pay out of pocket or you can go through your insurance. The list price I've been able to find online around $550 if you buy it completely without insurance. That is not cheap. It's cheaper than an insulin pump, but it's definitely not cheap. If you go through insurance, most people I've seen pay like $50 to $60. Some pay less, some pay more. It really depends on your plan and your deductibles. It is a 1-year warranty product. That means the battery in here lasts for 1 year. All that means is after a year, the battery will die. It will no longer connect with the app. However, you can still use the pen. Okay, and you can still use the app. It just doesn't have the automatic Bluetooth connection between the 2. Another cool thing I just mentioned before, it has half-unit increments. You might be able to see that here. It's half a unit. So that is the lowest unit you can get, the lowest increment you can get if you use an insulin pen. Most pens do 1 unit. I even see some do 2. So half unit, so that's pretty cool. As I said, it's comparable with Novolog, Humalog, and Fies. Those are the 3 only rapid-acting insulins that works with this pen. I'm looking at trying to remember everything. As I said, long-acting, you still need that. You can't get that for the Smartpen. Although, I mean, the app does give you reminders about taking your long-acting insulin if you want that. So it does have a little bit of long-acting functionality. But again, you can set the reminder. So I do that. I currently take 2 long-acting doses of the Tresiba I just showed you before, and I just have it in the app to remind me. So it would basically come up with a reminder on my home screen, on my phone, when it's time to take my dose. And if I don't want to take my dose, I don't know why I wouldn't, but let's say I don't want to take my dose for some reason, I just clear that. So there's a lot of things that can be done. It also monitors your insulin temperature. So that's pretty cool in the sense that if your pen is getting too hot or too cold for that matter, it will come up with a warning on your home screen as well. Why is this important? This is important because if your insulin gets too hot, it can get spoiled. So basically it won't work as well. It won't really lower your blood sugars as well as is intended. Not optimal. So basically my system before the Smartpen was I used an app called Rapid Calc, and that one combined with this pen did basically all what the InPen can right now. The Rapid Calc has the calculator, and it keeps track of IOB. My pen gave me half units. It's a big difference. Big difference is that this pen will automatically send all my doses to the app. Okay, so why is this important? Well, first of all, if I inject, for example, sometimes I don't remember to log a dose if I have to do it manually. This one takes care of that for me. If I inject, sometimes I won't necessarily be looking, I'll just be dialing it up and I'll inject and I'll be like, oh, I wonder how much I actually took. Given the Bluetooth, it will automatically tell me, well, you took 2.5 units. Where I'm like, okay, I didn't know if I took 2 or 3, so that's good to know. Other thing, if I've been like correcting at night, if I have had an alarm and I'm like, okay, my blood sugars are high, let's say it's 3 a.m., It's usually not the time people go high, but let's say that I go high at that time, and I inject in the dark. Maybe I wasn't that, and it's not optimal. I'm not saying that's optimal diabetes care, but you know, it will automatically record that for me. It will remember for me. Okay, so even if I'm half asleep, taking my dose in the middle of the night, it's still recorded, and I can the next morning I'll be able to see, well, okay, at 3 a.m. I took 3 units, or whatever it was. So I think all of that is super brilliant. So I want to show you next, I want to show you the hardware in the sense that we already looked at the pen, but I also want to show you the app. So let's go into that. So to use the system, you have to download the InPen app. You can actually do that even without having the InPen, and you can use all the functionalities. That's free. So that does get better than that. The InPen app, so when you open it, it looks like this. So what you can see here are actually, because I've been using the InPen for a while, let's get it out of the light here. And what you can see, so this is an overview of what's been going on for the last, I think 12 hours, 6 p.m. until now. Yeah, almost 24 hours. So what you see, the purple line here is my blood sugars. So I wear a continuous glucose monitor. That's why we have a continuous reading of glucose. If you use finger sticks, you'll have dots like that dot you see up here. That was a finger stick I took. So the solid line is if you wear a CGM, it'll automatically pull that in. So that's another cool benefit. The blue are my insulin doses. And you can see it's not just pointy. It's like, it goes like this. So it goes up and it comes down. That's because insulin, as we talked about before, lasts in the system more than, you know, it lasts up to system 3 to 5 hours, right? And I had it set to 4. That's why all my peaks are 4 hours long. The green up here is my carbs. You can also see down here, you have my time. And basically, if you go down, this is the last 2 days. You can see all my doses. I don't always put my carbs in, so that's why there's only one carb. It's one of those, like sometimes you just know how much insulin you need and you don't necessarily want to use the calculator. You don't have to. The other cool feature, so if you go click here, I have to look at it. So logbook. There you can look at days. See, it changes up here at several days. However, I think one of the coolest things here is that if you don't just want one day or 2 days or whatever, if you want to share your data with your medical team, which often is really, really beneficial, you just go into reports and there it all is. Again, this is my blood sugar reads because I wear a CGM. So I can just go into reports, I can download all of this and I can send it directly to my medical team. No more paper logs. Woohoo! Who else is up for that? But let's look at right now. So right now what you can see is this is my IOB, my active insulin on board. I think it's saying that I have 5 units on board right now. It's because I had lunch not that long ago. I had a larger lunch today. So that tells me how much I have. If I say, okay, I want to eat again. Let's click on the calculator, see if I can do that upside down. I can't. Yeah, I could. Then it comes up and say, okay, well, how many carbohydrates do you want to eat? Or what's your blood sugar and how many carbohydrates do you want to eat? Or just how's your blood sugar, and it can help me calculate a correction. So let's say that my glucose is, let's say I'm rocking it, is 120. Then you can see the recommendation is don't do anything because your blood sugars are brilliant. But let's say that I'm hungry. I'm going to eat something larger. Let's say I'm eating 30 grams of carbs. So I'm putting in 30 grams. So here, so my blood sugar is perfect, but I'm eating 30 grams of carbs. See, now it comes up with a suggestion for how much insulin I should take. And I can click on that. So I can do that upside down. I can. And it shows me why, how it gets to this calculation. So I personally love seeing that because sometimes I'll go in, sometimes I don't agree. That's okay. It's one of those things I think is really important when we have tech, is that even though we know what our carb ratios are, we know what our correction factors are, sometimes it's just a gut feeling. You know, I've been doing this for 23 years, so there's some gut feeling there. Or I know more than the technology necessarily know. Maybe I know that I'm about to go for a walk, then I don't want to take the full dose, right? So it's okay to override it, and I can do that. I can just say, well, it recommended the 3.5. It's great, I'm gonna take 2. I take my 2 units and it'll only log 2 units. It's fine. So basically there's the calculator. There is, let's just do one more. Now I do have quite a lot of IOB going, so I would need to get significantly, yeah, it's not really giving me. So what I'm trying right now is I was gonna see, well, if I put in a silly high blood sugar. Oh yeah, here we go. So let's say that I'm at 600. I don't think I've been at 600 since my diagnosis, but let's say that it was. See, I put in a blood sugar of 600, then it comes out with a correction recommendation. How brilliant is that? What it does is it takes into consideration what is your blood sugar, what have you put into the app that you want your blood sugar to be. So like, is your target 100? What is your correction factor, and what IOB do you have on board? Because all of those things are what we should be calculating every time we calculate a correction factor. Most of us do it intuitively, but this gives us an exact methodical way of doing that. So that's probably what I love the most about this. But let's talk a little bit more about the pros and the cons before I show you how to link your new InPen, if you got a new one or an old one, link that to your InPen app. So I would say the three largest pros of this product for me, definitely the dose calculator. Definitely the dose calculator. I just showed you, having, all the math done for me is so helpful. Second is my IOB, my active insulin on board. So it telling me I have almost 5 units on board is super helpful, because if I want to go for a walk right now, that might be too much. So I should probably consume some carbohydrates. IOB, start paying attention to that. I promise you your life with diabetes will be so much easier. And then there's the reporting. And I just showed you that last screen. Absolutely brilliant. I love that I can just send all that information to my medical team, and my endocrinologist will have my blood sugar readings, all my blood sugars. When I remember to log all my carbohydrates, she'll have all of that in one place. I think I can quote my endo, because what she said the first time she saw it, and she was like, this is brilliant. And I personally think it's super, super duper easy to use. So there's that. Cons. So that was 3 pros. Let's talk about 3 cons. Let me just show. It's a little flimsy. First of all, the lid, it's not a lid, but that will tend to get loose. So it can almost slide off too easy. The other thing is, I've had several pens where this little plastic screen had come off. It's not been a problem, because I've just called the InPen guys. They're very, very friendly, and it's not a problem to just get a new pen. So basically what they ask for is the code, and then they send you a new pen, and they ask you to send the old pen back. It's not a big deal. It is a little larger. It's larger and heavier than the disposable pen. Not a lot, but you can see the comparison here. Okay, so it's a little larger. But that's about it. Actually, I was racking my brain trying to come up with a third con. I mean, for some people, if you're paying out of pocket, 100% out of pocket, that would be a con, because $550 is a lot of money. But generally, I think for me, it's been worth the investment. My insurance has, however, covered quite a bit every time. But now let me show. So that was the pros and cons. That was a lot about the pen, why I really think it's a cool product, how I think it'd be helpful. So let's talk a little bit more about how to link your InPen with your InPen app. To link, or to use the right wording, to pair your InPen with your InPen app. First, you have to download the app, of course, and then you go into the app. You'll have to put in all your settings. Again, that's what your doctor gives you if you don't already have them. It's your correction factor, it's your target ranges, it's your carb ratios. And once you have all that in there, it's called therapy settings. And you can always change those. You can see like all my therapy settings are set here. I have different therapy settings for my long acting. As I said, I'm taking 2 doses right now, but all of that can be set and it can be changed. You can actually change it. It comes up therapy settings. When I click on that, it's like alarmed, you want to proceed, you just go like, yes, I want to proceed, and then you change it. Assuming that you're self-managed. If you're not, contact your doctor. So I got my new pen, and I have my app. Then you go into settings. Okay, settings is here, and then you click pair new pen. That's the second row. Boop. Pair new pen. And then it's actually showing a video on how to do it. I will have to look at it. It says dial and dispense a 24-unit pairing dose. Okay, so you see that's what it says there. Remember, there's no insulin in here, so that's not a big deal. We're not like wasting 24 units. So basically what I do is I take my pen and then I dial up to 24 units. See it there? Okay, and then you just push the plunger. There we go. And then it says, okay, did you do it? Like, yes. You click that, and now it's looking for, and there it is. It already found the pen. Then I just hit pair. Boop. And now I can name it. So what do I want to name my pen? Let's just call it the pink pen. It's pink. So I chose that. And then I just hit next. Okay. And then it says, are you okay with all of your settings, which is the therapy settings? I just click next again, and there's a few important things. And you can watch a tutorial on how to put in the cartridge. We're not going to do that because I'm going to show you. So click next. There's a lot of clicking next. Alrighty, but that means now it's paired. Now my beautiful pink pen is paired with my app. However, what just happened? So let's take off this. So since I just, dialed 24 units out, so the little plunger, can you see that here, has now moved up 24 units. That's going to be a problem if you're going to put a full cartridge in. So what you want to do is, let me just show you something actually. Maximum dose is 30. See here. See that? Isn't that clever? So that's how it pushes the insulin out of the pen. It's very simple mechanics actually, but that also means that when you're ready to put in a new cartridge, what you need to do is you need to have that screw all the way down, and you simply do that manually. There you go, it's all the way in, and then you just manually do this. Remember, if you just push the plunger, the screw is going to move out again. Okay? So let me just show that again. So I dial it up to the maximum, which is 30. I push it out. You see it moved out. Just manually, with my fingers, scroll it back, and then and we're ready to go. Okay. So you want to get out your insulin. Remember, I took that one out before. You slide that in to the top. You take the bottom, and you simply screw it on. And your pen is loaded, ready to go. You need to screw on a needle, obviously. So what I want you to be aware of here. So see, because I screwed this one, the screw here, the plunger, all the way down, might be able to see there's actually a little bit of space between the plunger and the insulin cap. That just means that I probably have to do, say, 30 units air shot or something like that before I actually get to the insulin. So don't be freaked out about that. It's simply, I don't even have to put on my, there we go. And now the plunger is up to the insulin, there we go. But again, nothing is gonna come out until I actually put the needle on. So, let's see if I have a needle. This is a needle. Open that up, you put it on, screw it on, take off the top. And I'm not gonna waste a whole lot of insulin, sorry guys, this is liquid gold. But you just flip it a few times, you dial it up, and then you do an air shot, then you do your injection, and your app will remember. Okay? So that's how you do that. Let's just take off this needle again before I put this bad boy away. I want to show you something else. Okay, I'm gonna put a cap. I kept coming a lid. I think it's a cap. Okay, so I want to show you something. So because we just did all those air shots, the app now thinks that I just did a 12-unit injection. You guys saw I did not do that. So let's remove it. So basically what you do is you click on it and it comes up and say, was this a dose or was this a prime? You and I, we know this was a prime, so we click prime. Same thing with the 30 units. That was just because I wanted to show you what happened if I dialed out 30. That was also a prime. So we just click on it again. And why do I want to say it's a prime? Because if not, then it's going to count those 30 units as part of my IOB. And it's going to mess up my reporting. So that was also a prime. And there we go. We're now back in business to the IOB that's actually correct, the insulin on board. And if we go into the logbook, you can actually see the primes. You can see I did a change of cartridge. Okay, that's what we just did together. And you can see the primes. So the blue are actual doses, while the gray, I think they're gray or black here, those are primes. That is how you use this. So again, this is a complete unbiased review in the sense that this is just me wanting to talk about the product because I think it's really cool. I think it is worth it. I think it's one of those tools that can truly help us improve our life with diabetes in the sense that you don't have to do all the math all the time. You don't have to remember when did you take your last dose, how many doses did you take within the last 4 hours. And it can help you calculate on the fly. And finally, and I always talk about this all the time, IOB, insulin on board. It can keep track on that for you. Because if you start to pay attention to your IOB, it can really, really help with your diabetes management, especially if you're active. I mentioned before, if I want to go for a walk, I just check it. I check my IOB. I'm going, okay, is this reasonable for me wanting to go for a walk, or do I maybe need to eat some carbohydrates? And this is me not planning for a walk. If I know I'm going to walk, again, I would probably just dial down my dose. I wouldn't have that high of an IOB, but life is not always planned. That was my InPen review, and also showing you how to pair your InPen with your InPen app. And again, remember, you can also use the InPen app for free, even if you don't have an InPen and you just want the other functionalities such as the what's it called? the reporting and tracking your doses. So it's really cool for that as well. I hope you enjoyed this review. I hope it helped you make an informed decision on whether or not this is the right product for you. Thank you so much for watching.